Today I wanted to go over how our tax dollars get spent over in Parliament and how basically it's all just a big political theater. And this video I saw encapsulates exactly, I think, what's wrong with our politics here in Canada.
I'm rising today to follow up on a question I asked about ethics, and in particular, the Prime Minister's ethics. And I think all members of this House would agree that all Canadians expect the highest level of ethics and transparency from the highest leader in the land. Unfortunately, there continue to be instances where that does not seem to be the case. And I'll give some examples which I think appear to be more than coincidence when it comes to the Prime Minister and his former business dealings. Now, of course, I encourage successful people to seek public office. But on the other hand, we want people to be transparent about their investments, transparent about their business dealings, and it appears to me that that has not been the case. Here are just a few examples, Mr. Speaker. On April 30th, 2025, just a few days after the election, the Prime Minister was personally lobbied by North River Midstream, a Brookfield portfolio company. On May 6th, 2025, after a meeting with the President in Washington, the Prime Minister met with Sam Pollock, the CEO of Brookfield Infrastructure, also in Washington, who is also now subject to his ethics screen. On September 27th, 2025, while in London, the Prime Minister attended a working breakfast with the High Commissioner and a number of institutional investors. 4 of those investors were from companies that have major connections to Brookfield again. August 11th, just 1 month after the ethics screen was put in place, Mr. Carney was seen speaking with and
interrupt the member. The Prime Minister's name cannot be used in the chamber, can only be referred to by his title. I'll let the member for York Durham continue.
I want to take a note of that pause there, that they tell Jacob to stop talking and change from saying Mark Carney to the Prime Minister. I'm going to circle back to this later.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Continuing, on August 11th, just 1 month after the ethics screen was put in place, the Prime Minister was seen speaking with and taking photos with, again, none other than Mr. Pollock, who is, as I mentioned, a part of Brookfield Infrastructure. And then on October 3rd of last year, the Prime Minister met again with the CEO of Brookfield, Justin Bieber. Now, all of these things taken individually may be understandable, but when we consider the entire picture of all of the meetings and lobbying that has taken place with the Prime Minister and his former business associates, it leads to questions. Now, when the CEO of Brookfield appeared at the Ethics Committee, he suggested a very simple means to address some of these concerns, which was for the Prime Minister to divest himself of these assets. So my question to the Parliamentary Secretary is, given there is a simple solution to this issue, sell the assets, why has the Prime Minister not done so yet?
So Jacob brings up his concerns about Mark Carney's conflicts of interests between him and Brookfield. And I think that's a totally rational, reasonable concern. And he simply wants to know if Carney has any inclinations to divest from his conflicts of interest. And then the way the Liberals answer is absolutely absurd, especially if you consider the amount of trips he's had throughout the past, what is it, like 6 months, 8 months that he's been in office. And we have like no deals. I saw an article talking about that, which I might make another video on. But it's ridiculous.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me just start off by indicating this. The Prime Minister followed all the rules, even before they were actually required. These rules are the Conservatives that the Conservatives put in place under Prime Minister Stephen Harper. He took this step from day one. The Leader of the Opposition has been here for 20 years and still doesn't necessarily deal with issues of great national importance. But before I expand on that particular point, I want to talk about how the official opposition. And I'm reluctant to say the word official opposition because of the constant gutter politics that is played with respect to character assassination. And one gets tired over the years where we have consistently seen conservative member after conservative member stand in his place, even when I was in opposition, and attack the character of an individual, the leader of the Liberal Party, consistently. And there is no conflict.
Almost as if Moose on the Loose knew I was making this video, he made a video a few minutes ago, as of recording, that shows a new conflict of interest that Carney's involved in. I know he has a giant graph that he's been adding to of Carney's conflicts of interest. So this is just the latest snippet. If you want to see more of what he's uncovered, you can go check out his channel. He also has a link somewhere to the giant graph that he's been compiling.
It's quite obvious there's a direct conflict of interest here because Mark Carney is going and talking with the CEO of Equinor, who has this 50-50 deal with Polnergia, which Brookfield owns half of, as well as Northview, which is 1/3 owned by Norges Bank, the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund, which is also a majority owner in Equinor. These are all wrapped up. This is a direct conflict of interest two ways. Carney's over here pushing for project approvals for Equinor, boosts the image of Brookfield doing business with this company. It does something else too. Not only does it signal stability of Brookfield being able to work with these companies, but also with two sovereign wealth funds. Carney goes over there, tries to get this project going because, well, it helps Brookfield's image working with other sovereign wealth funds and pension funds, which attracts then more sovereign wealth funds and pension funds that Brookfield can work with, like these Canadian ones. Carney is using his influence and power as prime minister to help boost Brookfield's image here, as well as these projects. And while this project here is not directly connected to Brookfield, it's connected to this company that's in bed with Brookfield. That's a 50-50 owner of this project with Brookfield. We know full well Brookfield's stranglehold on the carbon credit system here. What I think is going to happen here is Carney's going to use Beta Nord as a benchmark for other oil companies in Canada and say, look, these guys are doing low carbon. We know he wants to do Pathways project, and he's going to force all of the Canadian oil companies to pay a low carbon premium. That premium will be paid to Brookfield. Mark Carney invested in Brookfield, former chair of Brookfield.
Right, so tell me again how he has no conflicts of interest. You know, what I think infuriates me the most about politics just in general is that a lot of these politicians think they can piss on us and then tell us it's raining. We know you're pissing on us, bro. Just stop it.
And you would think that the Conservative Party, at least some of within the Conservative Party, would understand that. But instead, Mr. Speaker, what we see is those that want to put on the tin hat and they want to say, here, there, over here, there, here. Oh, it's a great conspiracy. How ridiculous the Conservative Party's approach in terms of dealing with public policy. When we have a Prime Minister with an incredible history, respected around the world as an economist, a former Bank of Canada governor, a Bank of England governor. And all the Conservative Party wants to do is assassinate his character when the Prime Minister has done absolutely nothing wrong. And in fact, when you want to talk about Brookfield, there's a number of members of the Conservative caucus that have investments in Brookfield, Mr. Speaker. I say shame on the Conservative Party of Canada for their character assassination, and instead of doing that, why don't they focus on what's in the best interest of Canadians? Deal with public policy. Have some honor.
Well, that I say shame is getting clipped for sure. Now, I just wanted to speak on this for a second. Why are we shaming the Conservatives for having investments in Brookfield when they're not the ones leading policy? The Conservative Party has been coming up with policy ideas and telling the Liberals to steal their ideas but they haven't been implementing any ideas on their own. As far as I can tell, we don't have that kind of political system here in Canada where the conservatives are just trying to get legislation passed on their own and things passed on their own when they're not the majority government, right? So we're excusing Carney's conflicts of interest, but we're vilifying if other people on the Conservative Party have investments in Brookfield, which may or may not be the case. But even still, none of those people that might have investments in Brookfield are not the prime minister. We're holding random cabinet seats above the prime minister. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
Instead, what we see, Mr. Speaker, is a sad state in which the far right has taken over the Conservative Party of Canada.
Right, so it's far right to want to hold your majority party accountable. Also, wasn't he the one literally a few minutes ago talking about a character assassination of the Liberals? How is that not character assassination? Jacob asked a question relating to Carney's conflicts of interests, and this guy has just been flailing his arms around and basically shitting himself for the better half of 5 minutes. You know what I think I'm going to do because this guy's pissing me off? I'm just going to summarize the rest of what he says and just move along. There you go. There's your summary. It's about as substantive as a fart. And we're moving on.
The Honourable Member for York Durham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm disappointed and saddened by the member's response. Not once did I impugn the Prime Minister. Not once did I cast aspersion on his character. I simply asked questions about his ethics screen, which is applicable to him as the Prime Minister. And that's a fair question. Justice must be done and must be seen to be done, Mr. Speaker. So he can protest all he wants, he can yell all he wants, but that doesn't change the facts of the matter. My follow-up question, Mr. Speaker, is the Prime Minister is about to take another trip to Europe, and I'd like the Parliamentary Secretary to confirm for us that he will not be taking any meetings with any Brookfield-related companies while on that trip.
So again, another rational, reasonable question. You know, Jacob just wants to make sure that going forward on his new trips, that Carney doesn't have any meetings with Brookfield, you know, because of the conflicts of interest, right? Well, you would be shocked if I told you that old gaseous Clay over there didn't actually answer the question. I know it's crazy. However, I'm gonna play a clip of a time that the speaker interrupts him so that he can correct his way of speaking. Here it is.
And if you reflect on the question, how can you not say that it is about character assassination? But
Member was saying the member is speaking directly to the member for York Durham and is supposed to speak through the chair. I invite the member to continue.
my apologies, Mr. Speaker, through you to the member opposite.
And this is where I get back to what I was saying earlier in the video about this all just being political theater, because never once does the speaker interrupt Kevin Lamoureux to tell him to stop flapping his lips and just answer the question. Instead, he interrupts Jacob early on to change the way he's talking so that he doesn't address Mark Carney directly. He addresses him by his title as Prime Minister. And then here he interrupts Kevin to tell him to speak through the speaker instead of directly at the member opposite. Like, what are these dumb rules that we have? Like, we have no substantive rules that we can enforce to tell people, hey, listen, you're just wasting our time. Why don't you answer the question that was presented? Instead, they just talk about nothing for minutes, hours, days. Like, it's disgusting. I'm probably gonna be looking at more of these types of videos as I see them, and gonna be recording some other videos. I don't have a clear schedule in mind, but we'll see how it goes, and all of the source videos will be linked in the description. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. This is a new channel that I hope to grow and do more of this type of commentary and other types of commentary like it. Peace.